great episode of Dre and Smiley, the Inner Circle Podcast. We're kicking things off right here in 2024.
Dre, we are kicking it off right. It's you ever have the expression or feeling that you know someone, but you don't know them, but you heard all about them, all of their lives, and you never
Yeah.
heard about their family. And this is I'm just getting chills because Cameron is a nephew that I've never met. And I've been hearing about him, his father, his journey. My brother's in the Air Force, Cameron's in the Air Force. We're going to get into that. And this is my first time seeing him, and I'm seeing him on our podcast. So it's such a humbling feeling because I feel like I've been spying on him because I've been hearing about his journey from the time he was 4 all the way up to the current. But let me just get into it. So Cameron is a father. He's from McKees Rocks. There's a Sto-Rox, is like a football area when I was playing ball back in the day. You see, I'm representing my Steelers because we get
Absolutely.
ready to
Yeah.
go to the Super Bowl and we get ready to go to the Super Bowl, Dre. But so, but Cameron also he mentors young people. He has youth associations thing he's going to talk about there, the Little Vikings. What's most intriguing is he's in the Air Force, but in addition to that, he's a Space Force. And a lot of people are like, well, what's the difference between the Space Force and the Air Force? So Cameron does that. We had a guest on after the Damar Hamlin concern when he fell out on the field and all that.
Yeah.
He's part of the Damar Hamlin Chasing Millions Association. I'm like, when does he sleep? And then a lot of times I
Right.
say, when does he sleep? But Cameron, we're so glad to be here. I don't want to read everything, but thank you for being on the podcast. And if we could kick it off, what is the Space Force?
Thank you both for having me, first of all. Like you said, before I get to the question, um, I mentioned it previously, jumping on here is like seeing a spitting image of my uncle. I haven't not Dre, I'm sorry, Dre, not to just take the focus away from you and on
You're good.
Smiley,
You're good. You're good.
but this really is a monumental moment for me. I've been hearing about him for a long time and never met him at all. And like I said, I jump on here and I'm like, wait a minute, it's the wrong number. That's my uncle right there, right? So, um, so this is actually a cool moment for me. I'm grateful for this moment. So again, thank you all for having me on here. Um, so yes, to the question, what's the Space Force? So. Not to go into the dictionary definition, but it's the newest branch, obviously, of the armed forces. The military sixth branch, right? Focus on cyber, intel, and space operations. That's like the bread and butter of the Space Force now. Where in the Air Force used to have the U.S. Space Command. That kind of pretty much went away, and then they formed their own branch in the U.S. Space Force. About being proactive versus reactive. There's a lot of things I can talk about, but some classifications we can't get into,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. We don't want to come up missing. We don't want to come
exactly,
up missing.
exactly.
Go ahead.
Ex-
Keep that to yourself. We don't need to know.
but it does focus on those things, you know what I mean? Like the cyber world, space operations, how everything kind of works out, our satellites, kind of what we're going into, right? You know what I mean? Again, being proactive versus reactive. There's some things out there, on not to say it, but there's something out there, on Google that, they'll kind of give you like a real small blurb, but it won't go into too much detail, right? But I love it. It's really interesting.
All
No,
right.
that's cool. One thing is, I Stefan and I, your uncle, we watch a lot of Ancient Aliens, and I know you probably, and from a Space Force perspective, you probably couldn't tell me if y'all saw aliens up there, but that's what the
Okay.
Space Force is designed to do. If something from
Get me
extraterrestrial
in trouble.
comes in,
Get me in
I'm
trouble.
in trouble.
Hey,
I'm sorry. Yeah,
just blink twice. Just blink
yeah,
twice
yeah.
if you ever seen an
Let's do
alien.
that to it. Yeah,
Say, scratch your face if you ever seen an alien. You don't have to say nothing. Just scratch your face.
yeah. No, I was like, yeah, I just wanted to get that out the way because a lot of people, when I talk to my friends, my neighbors, they're like, "Oh, you got someone from the Space Force who's going to be on. Ask him about the aliens." I'm like, "No, I'm not doing that." Like, come on, man, you want me to listen? So I got that out the way. Check the box.
Pick a box.
So
But
Okay.
yeah,
it's so crazy. Whenever I took over this role, as Space Force program manager, for this area and everything, when I took over this role, that's all I was getting. Hey, there's a show on Netflix. Is it just like that? Have you seen Aliens? Do you want to fly a rocket? I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. No, 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 I haven't. You know what I mean? I haven't done that at all. I'm just regular like you are, right? So,
Right, right. So let's back up a bit, Cameron. First, let me say thank you for your service.
thank you.
Appreciate what you're doing for our country here. You went, if I read your bio correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you went from high school into the Air Force. What made you decide to pursue a career in the military?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I'm glad you asked the question though. So I have to credit my Uncle Stephen. I have to credit, Uncle Stephen, Dr. Stephon Lee, I have to, credit him. Um, so when I was in high school, when I was in high school, I played football, played on the drum line. I had two jobs, working at a McDonald's, as a mentor in the community as well. But I hated school, as to be blunt, say it, I hated school. I could not stand school actually, let's be honest. After football season was done, because football and marching band, they ran the same. So if you can imagine in football, I'm about to play on the field, come halftime, take off my helmet, shoulder pads, go on the field, play my drum, and then after halftime, go back on the field and play football, right? So that's what I was doing. But once that season was over, football season was over, I said, get me out of here. I had a job. Again, I'm working at the local McDonald's, I'm a shift manager and I'm making some money. You come into school every day, like, I got some money in my pocket, I'm doing pretty good. Not thinking about, I'm not paying any bills at all right now. So that money, it feels good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and then I graduated. Um, and after well, let me back up. I almost didn't graduate. I almost dropped out. But fortunately, I had some, really good mentors, in my life at the time. A teacher, Mr. Foster, that was his name. He was my band director. A second mom to me. Her name was Miss Adrian Roberts, who's actually my vice president now on our school board. I almost dropped out of high school and my mother. But when parents tell you things in high school, you're like, okay, whatever. You're just my parent. You're gonna tell me,
Yeah.
Right.
you know how that goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And to make a long story short, I end up coming to school, after hours on the weekends. My teacher would come in with me as well, help me finish my senior project, and I graduated. Once I graduated, that's it. Cool. Forget school. I could have went to Robert Morris for the drums. They were looking at me to play, the drums in college. School in Virginia was looking at, kind of go there to play football and maybe go to school. But again, school just wasn't for me. So I finally graduated, walked across the stage. Again, I said, forget this. I'm going straight into the work world. I can be happy. I love what I do.
Mhm.
Because me, I've always worked hard, and I'm always working. I'm always doing something. I'm busy, busy, busy. That's how I like it. But about 3 years later, I was like, I'm making money, but now I gotta pay bills. Now I gotta do certain things. I'm like, wait a minute, this money isn't what I thought it was. Um, Unfortunately, my granddad, my Uncle Stefan's, father, he passed away back in 2010. And when that happened, I finally met my Uncle Stefan, for the first time, in my life. And that was a game changer for me in itself. We connected instantly. We talked a lot. It was like, my dad died when I was 4 years old, so I had no connection besides my grandmother at the time, of my dad's side anymore. And Uncle Stephen came in, he jumped right in. He never, dropped a beat. Yes, my cousins were there, my uncles were there, I called them my uncles, but they're my uncles, Um, they were always there, but I never, I didn't have, my dad, my granddad, I had my grandmother. Like I said, my Uncle Stephen, he came in and he just jumped full blast in and he's like, hey, how can I help you? I went to visit him up in Dayton, Ohio, whenever he lived there. We went to go, drive past Wright State University and everything. And I was like, cool, but school's not for me, like I said. So I want to go back down here and work. I'm good to go. But thank you very much. Told me about him, being in the Air Force. And when he told me that, I looked at him and I said, yeah, right. And just I literally turned around from him and walked the other way. I said, I'm not doing that. You're crazy. I would never do that, because you see some things and they say, we shouldn't be serving, and stuff like that. And like I said, I didn't want to do the military. Why? Yeah, right. No, that's not me. Um, but I said, you know what? Why not? My uncle, he planted a seed. He said, you get your education, you can do certain things, but he planted a seed in me. Um, And from that day, I said, you know what, let me do my research. I started looking up, statistics as far as like education in the military, and I got to brag, Air Force was number one, so let me brag, we were. It was Air
Okay.
Force, Air Force, Navy, and then everybody else. And that's not a shot to nobody else in any of the branches. That's really how it was, and
It just is what it is.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, so I went to visit an Air Force recruiter, and Master Sergeant at the time, Master Sergeant Kevin Gundrum. I wanted to go visit him, and he gave me some good information. But I came to him with about 20 questions. I said, "Hey, what's this? What's that?" And he really appreciated it, and he took care of me. Yet I gave him the runaround for about a year. I said, yeah, I'll do it. No, I won't. I wanted the ASVAB, couldn't pass the ASVAB to save my life. At the time you had to get a 50. I got a 48. I was like, oh, here we go. Then I passed the ASVAB, and now, I'm 6'4", 210 pounds in good shape. Oh, by the way, now you're overweight by 9 pounds. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me right now. Like, what is going on, right? So,
Yeah.
I was like, the obstacles, kept coming, coming, and coming. And at the time, now I'm working at a Best Buy as well. So I'm manager McDonald's, working at a Best Buy as a mentor. I was instructing my drumline. So I'm like, well, I'm busy already. I'm helping out my community. Why do I want to go anywhere anyways? Um, but my recruiter, he didn't push, yet well, he was persistent. And he said, hey, look, I'm here for you if you need anything. I'm here for you. Again, he would call me, hey, are you all right yet? You fine? Are you good to go? And I said, you know what? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, lo and behold, after about a year, August 9th, 2011, I was ended up joining the Air Force, and it's been the best experience of my life so far. I'm really grateful, and I love what I do. My original job is security forces, military police. I love it. You know, it's funny. I came in with no education, before besides high school, obviously. I couldn't stand school. Now I have, 3 degrees, and I've traveled the world, on the Air Force's dime. Learned different languages, different culture, experienced that. And from almost dropping out to now, I'm the school board president, of my school. That's crazy to me. I would never thought I'd be here. So I love what I do, and the Air
Cameron,
Force pushed me that way.
man, that story is remarkable. A couple things stand out to me as I reflect on what you just shared. One is that the impact your uncle had on you, in terms of getting you to realize, hey, there's something bigger out here than what you're experiencing right now.
Yes.
Any teenager, with no bills, working a job is probably gonna have the same thought as you. Hey, I'm making long money. Yeah, I'm set for life until
Yes.
life happens and you realize, whoa, this ain't it. Also, what stands out to me is I'm not sure if you heard your uncle's episode. He was on the podcast as well.
Yes.
He has somewhat of a similar story in that he shared, and I know you remember this, Smiley. He shared the number of people that mentored him. Because growing up in your community and any community across the globe, we're all exposed to what we're exposed to, right? And that's going to set our horizon, right? He was sharing about the guy in the pool hall. It was like, hey, young man, there's something bigger out here. He was sharing that once he joined the military, he wasn't sure about, college and that sort of thing. And then he got his degrees, and then he had no intention of getting a terminal degree, a PhD, until someone said, hey, you're really good at what you do. Consider doing this so you could do more. And so you guys have similar paths in that respect. What I'm also hearing, Cameron, is that you're continuing that legacy in terms of mentoring others in your
Yes.
community. Smiley touched on that. So on your shirt, you have, read what it says on there for me. Little Vikings,
Sto-Rox for the Vikings.
STO. Boy, tell me about that, and then I'll pass it over to Smiley.
Okay. So Sto-Rox for the Vikings. I'm the president of our youth sports association over here. So Sto-Rox for the Vikings Youth Sports Association. As of right now, we have football, we have cheerleading. Trying to branch out into more sports as well. Basketball we got coming up pretty soon. Whenever I was young, I played in Little Vikings, football. So it was amazing to be able to get the opportunity to come back and now be the president. I was approached back in 2021 after their season, and they asked me, hey, we think you'd be a great fit to come and help lead us. And I was like, "Oh, you sure?" Even though you've been in leadership positions, but hey, are you sure? Because it's like it's nostalgia. It's coming back home. It's you know what I mean. I was a part of it growing up, but this is now the other side of it. So I said, sure, I'll step up, I'll help out. I have a hard time saying no anyway, to be honest. So, but I said I'll step up and help out because one thing for me is I want folks to know and understand that your situation doesn't define you. It's your future and what you're going through now, right? Your situation in the past, you use that as motivation to help fuel you along the road. And you can use it to kind of you can mess with somebody. Hey, you've been through it, I've been through it. So to be back in the neighborhood that I grew up in and going through what I'm going through now, I said, you know what? I can show these kids something different. I can show these kids something they can, aim to. And by no way, shape, or form, do I use my story as being their success, right? Because you got to become the best version of yourself. Don't become me. Become the best version of yourself. But with me personally, I'm happy, and to me, success equals happiness. You know, um, you can't put a monetary value on success. Money helps. Let's go there, right? Money helps. You know, uh, but to me, it's about being happy. And this, I love it. We teach hard work, discipline. Can you become a productive member off the field, right? While being on the field, those values that we teach you. We were ages 5 to 14. We're going to transition now to ages 5 to 12 in youth sports um, because we have our middle school program coming back in order. So how can we help establish our pipeline as they kind of go throughout the community, move on, throughout school, throughout high school, and then out to the world, right? How do we establish that? So I love this. I love what we do.
One thing that you said is I want to get to the pivotal moment because you mentioned a few times that you didn't like school. You didn't like school.
Yes.
You did all it took to get into the Air Force, and then something changed in your mindset, your thinking. Was that because now you got 3 degrees and you're the president of the school board, so you love education. But what was the catalyst? Was it a conversation, or was it something that said, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to go get the first degree and I can do the second degree and the third degree. But what was that pivotal moment in your mind that says, I hate school to the opposite side of the coin? You must love it because you do so well at it. So what was that moment?
I think for me, I think for me, it was a combination of Uncle Stephen. I'm gonna credit
Mhm.
him a lot as well. I'm going to. It's just be honest. And knowing his background, obviously, with his doctorate, his
Mhm.
PhD, right? So I'm gonna credit him with that a lot. But then when I got to my first base, I met a chief. His name was Chief Bruno. Um, and I remember day one I met him. I came in and it was about, it was a meet and greet between me, him and I. And he's my, the squadron's, highest enlisted member. His job is to help us out, and guide us, going, for our careers. And I looked at him and I said, I'm coming in as an airman basic, no education. Um, I'm the lowest rank. And I said, hey, how do I get where you're at? And he looked at me and said, a lot of people can walk, a lot of people can talk the talk, a lot of people can't walk the walk. He said after you finish, your QC, which is like a check on or job knowledge and everything. He said after you finish that, you come back and see me. And we got 90 days to complete at the time. I did it in 30 days. I said, all right, here we go. Knocked it out in 30 days. And then I went back and said, all right, sir, I'm done. All right, chief, I'm done. What's next? He said, once you knock out your CDCs, those are like again more job knowledge and everything. Once you knock it out and then obtain a house, a higher skill level, come back and talk to me. Well, we have 4 books at a time. Each book, once you get it, you have a year to take your test, but each book they say roughly about a 1 month. I came back in 11 days, finished them all. I said
11. What?
11 days. I said, I said, I said, Chief, I'm done. Um, what's next? And he sat me down and he said, you're walking the walk. I can appreciate that. He said, just honestly, don't change who you are. Remain true to yourself. He said, the next thing you need to do is make sure you work on your education. And I said, oh, here we go again, education, right? Here we go again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Air Force offers you, not to make it a recruiting tool, but I'm going to say it. they don't plug it in. The Air Force offers you, the community college of the Air Force. You know, it's a branch that says, hey, you come in for just for doing your job, get some more classes in. Here's an associate degree. Why not? And it was free. So why not? He said, you'd be
Hmm.
surprised on people, within this career and within the Air Force in general, they can get to, some of the highest ranks and don't even go for that. He said, it's so simple. He
Hmm.
said, he said, people can take away a lot of things from you, but your education is one of them they can't take away from you. And I said, excuse me. I said, you know what? You're right, Chief. Obviously, look at where you're at. You're right. And then yeah, I spoke to Uncle Stephen. I said, "Look, that's what I'm doing," and I just started hitting the ground, just hitting the ground running. And he was right. My friends who were going to college, and they're living their best lives. They got some loans and debt and whatnot, but they're telling me about their college experiences. And again, remember, it's 3 years later now. It's 3 years after I graduated high
Hmm.
school. They're about to, they're either going to their senior year or they're finishing up. I'm like, man, look where they're at. They got the education and whatnot, and it's not to compete in a negative way. It's a that friendly competition, right? Let's compete
Yeah.
Sure.
together so we can build each
Sure.
other up. And I said, you know
Yeah.
what? I said, why not? Why not? And then I got my first one. Took me 2.5 years, essentially to get that. Well, it's after not I didn't start it all for a while, but all in all, within 2.5 years, I got my associates. By my 4 year mark, I had my bachelor's degree, and then by my once I got here to the recruiting squadron, it's another job. So with another job opens up another degree program. So I said,
Hmm.
hey, I'm already here. Let's go and get that. So I take one more class and I knocked that out. So that's what
Wow.
happened.
No, that's a great story because it's funny how when you think that the things you hate, and then when your life event happens, you mentioned you're a father, and Dre and I were both fathers, and we were talking about it like the things we did when we were non-fathers compared to who we are now. It's like, who is that dude I was? I don't, life and things like that will help you change. But in your bio, I loved it when you said, no dream is too big or too small. So where you are, Cameron 2024, what is Cameron 2030 for? Are you the head of the president of the state of Pennsylvania academic system, education system? Are you leading trillion-dollar nonprofit agencies helping the little Vikings? Are you general of the Air Force? Where's Cameron in 2034? Or is that too far
So
out?
it's not too far out because I think about those things. What's my goal for tomorrow waking up? That sounds cliche, but it's the truth. What's my goal for tomorrow? What's my goal for next week? What's my goal for next month?
Hmm.
Next year, and 5, 10 years on the road. And I think about those things a lot actually, and I write them all down. They're important. But to reverse back for a second, yes, no dream is too big or too small, and that's what I want folks to realize and remember.
Hmm.
Especially where I come from. I want people to know, hey, look, again, no dream is too big, too small. I didn't know. Sorry, can you hear me?
Hmm.
Yeah.
We can.
We can
Sorry
hear
about
you.
that. I didn't know how big the world was outside of McKees Rocks until I went and explored outside of McKees Rocks, right? First time on an airplane, I joined the Air Force, so that I didn't know. I'm trying to show people now that hey, look, you can see other things. And before I answer your question, I'm going to go into this really fast. With my organization, one thing I want to do, I want to make sure these kids seeing something different, outside McKees Rocks. And I love it because just in December, we were able to so we're in a youth league, the Western Pennsylvania Youth Athletics Association. And under that umbrella, we would take, two of our teams and so a couple kids are all stars, approximately 40 kids. We took them out of Florida, to compete in
Hmm.
the, youth football all stars, or championship games. So for kids to see outside their environment and I can help out with that, that's why I do what I do. I love what I do. So 10 years from now, where would I be at? Not to be cliche, I want to say something, but I don't like to throw everything out there into people, right? Work in silence. I want to make a difference. I want to continue to make a difference. That's my goal. Make a difference. Be in a position that I can continue to make a difference. I will tell you, years down the line, I do see myself in some form of, deeper politics. I will say that. but
Okay.
I'm gonna just leave that alone for right now. Um,
Okay.
and again, nothing. I wouldn't say nothing major, because I know it is something pretty major. But I want to be in a position to show folks that, hey, look, I'm from here. I've done it. You can be from here and you can do it too. Again, no dream is too big or too small. So
Love it.
Dre, just to put McKees Rocks in perspective, if you have, let's say you have Dre's in Nashville. So we have downtown Pittsburgh where we got the Three River Stadium or the area of the Point Park. Go to the east, you have Braddock, which is our town, about maybe 4 miles away from the city. You go to the west, you got McKees Rocks. So we were kids, and I jumped on the wrong bus. I didn't even know that that side of the river existed. I got off the bus. I was in McKees Rocks. We had payphones. I called my mom. I'm like, I'm in this place called McKees Rocks. She's like, what you doing over there? I was like, I got on the wrong bus. She's like, get your ass back on the bus and come home. I was like, I, I got off and I was like, it looks like my hood. It looks like Braddock. It was just like the whole Mon River Valley. And I was just like, maybe I was 9 and I jumped on the wrong bus, ended up in McKees Rocks. First time McKees Rocks was in my lexicon. I was like, what? McKees Rocks? And then when I got a little older, we would play against Sto-Rox. We get competitions in football and basketball. And I was like, man, I was way over there. It seemed like it was so far away, Dre. It is like three
Yeah.
miles from the city. But when you're younger, you just
Wow.
think it's
Yeah.
so far.
It's a different
So
world.
yeah, so no, but thank
Interesting.
you for sharing
Interesting.
that, Cameron, because I like the way you think because the young people who are listening now, life is an evolution. You're always evolving and becoming something greater than yourself, as long as your mind believes that you can get there. And the way you express that, I just think is so amazing for young people who are listening, or even us old cats like Dre and myself listening.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. So Dre,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I know you're on the board of Chasing Millions, the foundation. Tell me about the foundation and what they do for the community.
So I wouldn't necessarily say that um, I'm too involved for the most part. So Demar, everybody knows Demar Hamlin now, right? Everyone's seen what happened last year, on that field, unfortunately. But his dad and I, he's one of my coaches in my youth sports program. You know what I mean? He approached me and he said, "Hey, how would you feel about being a part of this?" And I said, "Sure, I would love to." You know what I mean? Again, in a position to make a difference, to be working, hand in hand, with him helping out, just being, an advisor, if I can in any way, shape, or form. Um, and Demar, I've known Demar since Demar since he was a child, so
Is that right?
yes, I've known him since he was a little like a legit child. We grew up in the same area, so he's from here, he's from McKees Rocks, so
Okay.
I've known him
Okay.
since he was a child, his family, the whole nine, and it's more just wherever I can help out, that I'll help out with, and his goal and
Okay.
his journey of giving back to the world. The world kind of poured into him. You know what I mean? When that unfortunate incident happened, and he's pouring back into the world. But the thing is, one thing I always say about Damar Hamlin is he's been doing that since he was in college, before that, he's always poured back out to, where he can. Now he has more, more means to pour into more folks and help out more, so just a matter of trying to do their part and helping out and giving back to, the community and again to the world. So
Nice.
awesome. Well, here's one thing before we move into the final four. What is one thing you want the world to know about Cameron Culliver that the
mm,
world doesn't know? For example,
mm.
maybe like I'm trying to teach myself Swahili. Dre didn't know that. Dre knows now
No, I
because
didn't know that.
every now and then I'm trying to just do something that's a little different. But what is something that the world doesn't know about Cameron Culliver that you wish they did know?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I thought about this too. Ooh. I would say. So for one, I don't really think about myself a lot, so this is a question to where gotta give some real thought. Well, one thing about me that the world probably knows, or that folks that know me know, but the rest of the world doesn't know, is that I'm a regular person. I'm gonna get the shirt off my back to anybody. I want to help out much as possible. I care. Sometimes that can be a flaw. People folks say I don't see it as a flaw, but sometimes you care. Someone told me before. I asked a question before people. I say, what are my biggest strengths, my biggest no weaknesses? 'Cause it's about self-reflection. I asked that question to some folks that I know, some friends, and it was always I always get in a positive, you care. In a negative, you care. I always get that. And when I ask why, it's because you care so much. You're so passionate, in your caring. And I can meet you today, and I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna treat the janitor like the CEO. That's what I'm gonna do. That's how I'm a firm believer in that. But sometimes, I will fight battles for folks that either they're not ready to fight, or that they say they're ready to fight and they're not ready to fight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fight that battle, but sometimes I gotta take a step back and let them initiate, I guess you can say, or be on board with fighting their battle, because I wanna solve your issues. I want to help you out. I want to actually do what I can to take care of you. So that's what I would say. The world know about me is just know that if you meet me, if you come across me, I'm very passionate. I might talk fast. I might stutter a little bit because I am so passionate. But I genuinely care, and again, it's very genuine. That's what I will say. It's very genuine.
Awesome. So the first final four question: anyone on the planet, if you could trade places with them just for one day, anyone, Warren Buffett, Shay, Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams, who would you
Smiley.
want to no, who would you want to who would you want to trade places with just for 24 hours, or if not trade places, shadows, be their partner or side by side for 24 hours? Who would that person be and why?
I'm glad you changed that to shadow.
Yeah.
Be, because I really I want to sound like inconsiderate or anything at all. I guess part of me just caring what people think, right? A little bit. I don't want to sound that way, but for me, I don't want to be nobody else but myself. Let me just say that, right? I love who I am. I'm grateful for who I am, and what I've been through. But the shadow, my middle name is Mandela. So growing up, I've always, done projects, on Nelson Mandela and everything, and it's explored him, explored, what he was a part of, and what he been through. I would love to some way, shape, or form, kind of go back in time and shadow Nelson Mandela, for a little while. I would love to, just to kind of see what he was going through, how he was a family, he took care of, his wife and so, and again, his why, why was he so passionate about, certain things, and you can read upon it and make your own impression, but what was his internal why? Um, some folks might say I'm probably gonna say I'm Barack Obama, cool, but no, I want to go back a little bit, and I would say Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela.
I'm so
Okay.
glad you went to the continent because my wife, she's just like Ibrahim Traore, the military leader of Burkina Faso. I'm just so fascinated. He's 35 years old and he's making progressive, monumental changes in his country in the Sahel. And I'm so intrigued with him. So that I would follow him because I just think what he's doing, he's so dynamic. His vision is so 50, 60 years into the future, and he's making the initiatives to change his country for the better. And I would shadow that dude in Africa because he's alive, he's 35, and every time I look at my TikTok, I'm stalking him. And Dre, I invited him on the podcast, but he didn't agree yet.
He didn't
So, but
respond.
not
Give him
yet. But
time.
that's
He's a busy man. Give
yeah,
him time.
yeah,
Give him
that's
time.
I know he changed the country and all, but
Yeah,
that's who
right,
I would
right.
shadow. So that's who I would
Okay.
shadow. But cool, great.
So, Cameron, the next question here, question number 2 of the final 4. What's been the biggest risk you've ever taken? What's been your biggest risk?
Join the Air Force. I can say that. I
Mhm.
might not seem like a risk, but to me it was. I took a leap of faith. A lot of folks will tell you when they join the Air Force or any kind of military branch, the first morning they wake up, it's like, this is the worst decision of my life. We all have that same thought. This is the worst decision of my life. But I've joined. I've been successful in it. Young. I've been successful in a young, young experience. A young age. So I'll probably say joining the Air Force because it taught me so much about myself and it showed me so much that I didn't know.
For the third final four, what is something that never fails to make you laugh?
I can I can easily say my daughter.
Okay.
Awesome.
She, as much as I won't say I've been through. I'm only 34 years young, 34 years young. Um,
Right.
as much as I've been through, in my life, when I come home and see my daughter, it's always no matter what's going on outside, no matter anywhere, make me laugh no matter what. But besides that, um, I would say my own self, my humility.
Okay.
I don't look at things with a if something's negative going on, okay, what's a positive? That's what I was trying to find. What's a positive? So myself.
Okay. And the last question here: who would you want to be stranded on a deserted island with?
As much as I want to say my daughter, I don't want to say her. 'Cause I don't want her to be stranded out there with me.
Right. She's young. She has a whole life to live. You don't want her on an
Exactly. She has a
island.
whole life to live. I don't want her to be stranded, right?
Right, right.
Um. Ooh, this is a tough question for me. I won't lie. It really is. Um. I'm comfortable by myself.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is a tough question for me. I don't know if I'll be able to give you an answer, honestly, on this one.
No
Because
problem.
All
I'm
right.
Problem.
I am very comfortable by myself. I really am.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll, we'll,
Cool.
we'll switch it up on you. What about this? If you had to write your autobiography, because I'm sure your book is coming
Ah,
with your political aspirations,
it's
what would
got to
the
be
title
coming.
be? It got to be coming. What would the
It's got
title
to be
be of
coming.
your book?
The title will be Blessed, Humble, Motivated. Um,
Blessed, humble, motivated.
Blessed, Humble, Motivated. I say that
Okay.
because it's something I live by. It's something that
Hmm.
I've lived by for a long time. And basically, what it means to me is, we're all blessed. Regardless of your circumstances, we're all blessed. Always stay motivated. Nothing can put you down. Nothing can get you down or keep you down but yourself. So stay
Hmm.
motivated, whether it's internally, intrinsic motivation, extrinsic motivation, stay motivated. I can be successful today, and tomorrow, it can all change. You know what I mean? So to be humble, be grateful for what you're doing. But I believe in that. Blessed, humble, motivated would be my title.
Wow, well, Cameron, man, I just want to tell you this has been a fascinating conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your wisdom, your journey, your life experiences. Hold on one second. Dre,
There he is.
we had a, all right, you there? Your camera went away and there's some background sounds. But yeah, dude, we really appreciate you being on the call and sharing your perspective of life, your experiences. In 34 years, you have accomplished a lot. And I just love the start of it. You said I hate school. And now you're the school board president. Man, everyone out there, you know what? It's all about not the school, it's about the education. It's about putting the knowledge and wisdom into yourself to make yourself better. So thank you for that. Thank you for your time. And Dre, oh,
If
maybe
I can
Dre.
jump in here, if I can
Oh
jump in,
yeah, definitely.
before Jay
Yeah,
goes
please.
next, um, I want to say thank you all for having me here.
Hmm.
I've been hearing about this for a long time. Uncle Stephen's like, you gotta go in there and do it. And I'm glad they able to, finally jump on here and do it. It's an honor to meet you finally for the first time. Thank you both for having me. And if I could just leave people with one thing you asked earlier, what I want the world to know about me is, again, just I'm a product of my environment. So whoever I
Hmm.
am, it comes from, where I'm from. So I'm a product of my environment. Now, again, I thank you all very much for having me on here. I really do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.